If you ever said to yourself, I know exactly what to do, so why can't I just do it? This may be the first time it actually makes sense, because the problem isn't your discipline. It's that you've been trying to fix chaos without understanding the order it requires. You get what I mean? This page is about analyzing scripture as a blueprint for human behavior, perception, and alignment, so you get to see patterns that most people miss. And if you have been feeling stuck, pay attention to what comes to your mind when you listen to this video, because something is about to click for you. All right, let me ask you something. Have you ever felt like you was living in a cycle, and not because you wanted to, but because no matter how aware you are, you keep ending up in the same exact place? You start, you stop, you get clarity, then you lose momentum, and somewhere in that process, you start questioning yourself. Why am I like this? And notice what your mind does next. It labels it. I lack discipline. I'm inconsistent. I need to try harder. But at the same time, it's another part of you that knows that that's just not the full truth. Because if it was just discipline, once you try harder, it should have stuck. But it didn't. Paul describes this tension. I do not what I want. I do the very thing I hate. So now you're split. One part of you sees clearly and another part keep on repeating. And that creates a quiet frustration. Not loud, not dramatic, but consistent. And then you try to fix it, but it never fully resolves. And like Solomon said, the eyes is never satisfied. The ears are never filled. So no matter how much you take in, it still feel like something is missing. That feeling, that's not failure. It's chaos. I know. We gonna get into it though. We about to go into the shift right now, because most people think that everything is supposed to start in order, but it doesn't. Genesis says, the earth was formless and empty, and darkness was over the face of the deep. Formless, empty, dark, before anything ever made sense. You listening? That was the condition. So what if what you have been calling stuck is actually you existing in that same stage? Not broken, not behind, just unformed. You get what I mean? And once you see that, you stop asking, what's wrong with me? And you start asking, what stage am I in? Get what I mean? And this is the part that changes everything. God didn't respond to chaos randomly. He didn't just start fixing everything. He moved in an order. There was a sequence. And this is what most people create frustration without realizing. They try to produce results without first establishing order. Or they try to change behavior without first seeing clearly the problem. They try building something real without separating what doesn't belong. So they keep cycling. Not because they are incapable, but because they are out of sequence. And this is the pattern. We're going to go into it deeper in later videos, but it's light, then separation, then formation, then order, then expression, then identity, then rest. That's not random. That's a process, and whether you realize it or not, I've said this in another video, but you are already moving in this cycle, just not consciously. Let me say something clear. Maybe you are not inconsistent. Maybe you're trying to live in a stage you haven't actually built the foundation for yet. Maybe you're trying to express without clarity. Maybe you are trying to stay consistent without structure. Trying to change your life without understanding the order it requires. And if that is true, then the solution isn't pressure, it's alignment. Because this entire time, you thought something was wrong with you, when in reality, nothing is wrong. You're just out of order. And if you can see this just even a little bit, that means something in you is already ready to wake up, ready to look towards the light. Because once you start understanding this pattern, you don't just feel better. You start to move different. You start to recognize where you are and what needs to happen next, and why things wasn't working before. And that changes everything. So in the next video, we not just going to be talking about chaos anymore. We going to be breaking into the actual structure, because Genesis isn't just a story. It's a blueprint. And once you see it clearly, you'll be able to read your life, your decisions, your patterns with the level of clarity that most people never reach. So I hope you stick around. If you have any questions, leave a like, leave a comment.